Hey all, welcome to Parker's Reefs. On this episode I'm going to go over what's going good, what's going bad, and what's ugly with the Dream Reef Tank, as well as give you a chance to win a customized Gameboy Advance. Alright guys, thank you for joining me on another episode of Parker's Reefs, and I guess this one is probably the unofficial 8-month milestone for the Dream Reef Tank, and I have labelled it the good, the bad and the ugly, and I guess that's because there probably is a couple topics in each of the categories there that I want to share with you, and whilst it's great to celebrate the goods, it's also nice to stay grounded with some of the bads and the uglies, but I guess that's just reefing in general. Sometimes we get a little too caught up on the bads and uglies and forget about the goods, so here is my 8-month overview of the Dream Reef Tank, warts and all. That being said, we might start with the good, and like I did mention before, I do have 2 $100 vouchers to give away to get yourself a very customized Gameboy Advance like I have here. This one's printed with my very own Pikachu Coral Aquapora picture. It's got a lot of other mods in there, but I'll get into that later. Let's jump into what's going good with this reef tank, and thankfully there is a lot going good with it. I've just sent off an ICP result just so I can get a little marker in the sand with Triton just to see where the water parameters are at with this tank, because some things are growing really well. In particular, my acros, or all my SPS in particular, growing quite well, particularly encrusting. Some of them are branching out quite a lot. Some obvious ones like Montipora, Digi are growing quite quickly, and a lot of my other ones are getting quite a lot of encrusting as well as a little bit of growth as well, and I'm really happy to see the colors that are coming through from them. At this point in time, I'm dosing very little trace elements, and I'm not putting any amino acids into the tank whatsoever. I'm sort of waiting until some of the ugly, which we'll cover a little bit later, gets addressed before I start pumping too many aminos in the system, and I do expect some of the colors to really escalate even further then, but I'm not sure if it's the flow, it's the lights, it's the water chemistry, or just downright luck. I'm getting some cracking colors from the SBS, and I'll show some footage now so you can see just how some of them are popping. Some of them looking absolutely exceptional under my full white spectrum that I do run most of the day, and others are really showing their highlights in the mornings and nights when that really nice royal blue comes in to really get those pigments popping. And of course, the LPS in the system is just shining like a beacon in the dark. That gold hammer is absolutely stunning. I've got a couple other nice hammers in there as well, which are really complementing that little Euphilia garden really well. You will notice my gold torch has had some die-off, and we'll go over that in the bad section next. But before we jump onto that, let's have a look at some of the fish, because they're all doing really well. I have to admit that it's been a long time since I've added a lot of new fish to a system, with my previous display tank being quite established for quite a long period of time. I wasn't overly familiar with the process of adding new fish, and I have to admit I was pretty stressed about it. Adding that many tangs at once did create a little bit of argy-bargy, and whilst there still is a little bit of pecking order sorting going on, you'll see a couple of little tared fins here and there. All in all, they're doing really well. They're all eating a lot of food. They're all putting on some good weight. There's no signs of ick or any sort of disease whatsoever. The fish are all looking great, and what a great collection of fish I got going so far. One of my keen viewers out there will note that I don't have an orange shoulder tang in there yet, but rest assured I do actually have one coming, and it's not just for you. It is a fish that I have had on my list for a long time, so that will be a really cool addition to make. Alright, I guess now we should move on to the bad, and basically the only bad I have in this video, well, apart from the ugly, which I guess is also a bad, but the bad that I want to talk about in this video is the die-off of that gold torch. Now, I probably jinxed myself over the last couple of weeks at Deer Park Aquarium, where we've had a couple of customers come in, completely different aquariums that have had a little bit of issue with gold torch dying in their system. Other torches doing completely fine, but gold torch just losing heads. And I have heard of that phenomena happening quite a lot online. And I was telling these customers that whilst I've heard of it, I've never experienced it myself. I've had gold torch for years and they all thrive. Even in the idiot proof tank, I had a head of gold torch in there that just kicked gold after goal and was looking beautiful. In the beautiful big gold torch that I got from Nick's Aquarium in my Dream Reef Tank was just getting bigger and more colorful and looking lovely. And then what do you know, one of the heads starts closing up, and before you know it, it's just deteriorated and gone. It wasn't brown jelly. I didn't actually get any pictures or footage of it. It happened over the space of about a day though, but it definitely wasn't brown jelly. It just closed up and then the flesh just disappeared without any brown jelly. Now, I have absolutely no idea what has caused this. All other euphilia in the tank looks amazing. Even the other half of the gold torch looks amazing. Everything there is looking really good, but for whatever reason, I haven't noticed any fish pecking at it. I'm assuming all the water and light and flow conditions are good because the rest of the torches and euphilias are doing quite well. It just seems to be one of those unexplained phenomenons that are happening at the moment with Gold Torch. Now, what I have done, and I highly recommend all the viewers out there doing, regardless of whether your torch corals are absolutely thriving or whether you're having trouble with them, I'd highly recommend you join a Facebook group called Torch Coral Project. It's a Facebook group there where users from all across the world are sharing their details and their successes and their failures with torch corals, just so we can all help each other gain a better understanding of what makes these corals tick, and maybe hopefully identifying or unlocking the mystery as to what makes them not succeed. And just get on there and share your experience, put up some images, put up some water parameters, your equipment you're running, everything like that. And all the users on there, I have to admit, have been super, super friendly. There's no coral shaming or equipment shaming or anything like that on there. The team are very, very open-minded and just trying to get the best outcome for the corals. So if you're not a member of Torch Coral Project yet, please consider joining. I think it's the sort of thing that can help bring this hobby into just a better position than it is today. All right, last but absolutely not least of this video is the ugly part of this title. And I have to admit, maybe excuse the pun, I've probably had my head in the sand the last couple of months with a bit of green covering on my sand bed. I was assuming that it was just a little bit of diatom that would eventually go away. New tank, new sand, new rock, everything like that all creates a bit of diatom in a brand new system, and your tank just goes through these uglies. Now, my good friend David Deer Park Aquarium has been telling me for a number of weeks now that it's not diatoms, it's a green cyano, and I eventually agreed with him. It definitely is a cyano, so I need to work out what I can do to address this, and I wouldn't mind your help out there. The first thing I've done, just to go as natural as possible, is to absolutely crank up the flow. Now, my MP60s and Tunzi Stream 3s in the system were set very low just because I didn't really need a lot of flow in there with the amount of pumps I had in there and the, I guess, the lack of coral growth at this point in time. Nothing in there really blocking the flow, so I had them turned quite low. I've cranked them up, which has moved a lot of the sand around, which I have to admit, I hate having these patches of glass on the bottom of the tank, but if it's all in the good cause of getting rid of this green cyano, so be it. I've also added some more sand sifting stars, some more Strombus snails, and some more Nass snails, just to try and keep that sand turning over. Now, one thing I did find was a little bit interesting. When I cranked the flow up, the sand moved out of the way, but where the cyano was on the sand, it kind of cemented it in place, and the sand that didn't have any cyano blew around it. So I did also get in there with a little gravel vac, which I spread out. I did a patch maybe about the size of an A4 sheet of paper. Every second day, I'd just pull about 20 litres of water out doing a gravel vac just to try and stir that sand up a little bit. So far, that has just resulted in the cyano coming back again, and I'll show you some footage on screen now so you can see what it looks like. I'm hoping to avoid going down the chemical path just because I know there are options out there that can wipe cyano out, but it can be a little bit tough on your livestock, so I'm just trying to avoid that. But I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions and experiences with green cyano in particular and what you've done to beat it, particularly in a natural way. I'd really appreciate your feedback on that. Okay, now at the start of the video, I did mention that I would be giving away some seemingly random vouchers to either buy a pre-restored Game Boy or to get your own Game Boy restored. And I'll just give you a little bit of the background of the story as to how I've ended up giving away such a prize. I recently reached out to this company, Recon for Gamers, to see if I could go about purchasing a pre-restored Game Boy, only to find out that they are actually reefers themselves and big fans of the channel. So we chatted a fair bit, talked to reef tanks, talked Game Boys, and next thing you know, we've got some pre-restored Game Boys on the way, and I just wanted to share some of the specs on both of them here. This one here is your traditional Game Boy Color. He's been fully restored using a case from a guy over in WA, James Plays, who's a 38-year-old dude over in Perth. It's got a Gyarados case with some Magikarps on it. Now this bad boy here, once I find the on switch over here, He's got Natalie the Nerd perfected modification, having these illuminated blue LED buttons. He's got a beautiful brand new LG screen, and it's just a pretty slick looking unit. All of the button pads, all the capacitors, everything's been restored, so this plays like an absolutely brand new Game Boy, but it's completely original. It's not actually, it's not a rip-off or a MAME version or anything like that. It is a completely original Game Boy that's just had all of its working parts restored, and I think that's really cool. But that's fairly random because, you know, it's a Game Boy Color. When we're talking Parker's Reefs, I like to take things up a level and check out this unit here that I had commissioned to be built. This is a special one-of-a-kind Parker's Reef Sam Parker Photography Pikachu Aquapora Colony Game Boy Advance. Now, the team over at Recon for Gamers were so accommodating in making this one-of-a-kind unit just for me, and what an absolute treat it turned out. This is a picture I took from the Aquapora Colony at Aquamarine Aquaristic. They had that printed onto this case, this UV printed case over in Retro 6 in the UK. Let's fire him up so you can have a look at some of the other features of this bad boy. There's the switch. Whoa, he's got some juice behind it, and that's because this guy has an upgraded speaker and an amp. It's also got the illuminated buttons. It's also got the brand new screen. And this guy also packs a USB-C charging with a built-in battery. All right, I did mention that I wanted to be generous and give away a couple of vouchers to Recon for Gamers. So I've got two $100 vouchers up for grabs. I'm going to give away one voucher. You don't even have to be a subscriber. You just have to have watched this video. Pop in the comments down below what Game Boy game you remember playing as a child the most. I'll pick a winner at random. And to make up that second one, we're going to give it away to a channel member, one of our paid up members. For everyone else, if you've got a bit of a soft spot for old school Nintendos, be sure to head on over to Recon for Gamers. It's a pretty cool little site, and I've really enjoyed in lockdown playing my special one-of-a-kind Parker's Reef Game Boy Advance. Alright guys, there you have it. That's the good, bad and ugly with the Dream Reef Tank, and also a special little giveaway to a fellow reefer who's just started up this business restoring Game Boys. And if you're like me, you like retro gaming, you like reef tanks, match made in heaven. Let's get behind Recon for Gamers and also give yourself an opportunity to win a $100 voucher to pick up some of their incredible restored items. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, anything at all regarding my tank or the Game Boys, of course, feel free to pop it in the comment section down below. I personally reply to each and every comment there. Last but not least, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, and if you're yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. It takes 2 seconds of your time, costs no money whatsoever. There's a button down in the corner there. Other than that, guys, I'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, stay safe, keep reefing.